Hello again, welcome to today's attempt at the Fibble puzzle. This is Wordle, but there's a liar in every row. So maybe the B is lying, but should it be yellow or green instead? Or maybe the L, E, or one of the S's is the liar on that row. Who knows? The only way to find out is to play. So it's auto-populated that first guess, and it's given us quite a lot of information. Even if the L is lying, or the E or the S, that means that the other two of those are telling the truth, which means we've got at least two of those three letters in the word. So that's quite a good start. I'm going to go for flesh, keep the L-E-S in place and see what I can learn. Right, the L and the E have both changed colour, so the L must be lying on one of those rows, the E must be lying on the other row. It's more likely that the greens are lying, just because it's more likely that I've got the letter in the wrong place than in the right place. So therefore, we would have an S and an E, but the E is not third. That's all we know so far, probably. So let's just try stare. We'll try some common letters and try the most likely positions for the S and the E. And that is interesting. So if the S is lying, because it's actually first, then the E would have to be second. That feels unlikely. If the E is lying, I mean, then it could just be a plural, couldn't it? It could be blank E blank RS. What else is a possibility? Of course, the other possibility is that the R is lying. So let's just go for pesky. We'll move the E and the S around again and see if we learn anything interesting. So there's definitely an E. Because if the E is lying, sorry, if there's not an E, well, I mean, there has to be an E just because of the top two rows. So that's definitely the liar there. So that means the S is definitely first, which is it, third, which is interesting. It does make it more likely that the E, well, actually, it makes it almost certain that this R is lying, which probably means that the E is fourth. S-E-D ending is probably quite likely. Let's try something like mused. He mused. Interesting. Now there can't be an E in fifth, because the R is surely the liar there, so this is telling the truth. So there isn't an E in fifth, but it's not ensue or issue or something like that. So probably the U is lying? But that does mean that the E has to be first or second. Could be resin, I think. I've said this before, but when I assume that there's a letter that's lying, or when I find that there's a letter that I think is lying, I always assume that it should actually be grey, whereas in fact it could be yellow. So the R could be the first letter, so it could well be resin, and it is. Could have got that a little bit quicker, but it's not the easiest of words. Usually when you've got an RE, it's an ER ending or an RE ending, and the S being in the middle is not the most common place for that either, so it's a little bit tricky. So I'm kind of happy enough getting that in 5. It's not brilliant, it's not terrible. Let me know how you got on. I mean, if everybody leaves a comment to say they got it in 3 or 4, then I will reconsider and say that 5 is pretty terrible. But I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's the most obvious one today. But let me know. That is the Fibble puzzle. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.